Hello crafters, today I'm talking vinyl weeding tips and tricks. My name is Shea and I make videos about Cricut, crafting, and how to turn your hobby into income. So if you are interested in any of those topics I just mentioned, please feel free to subscribe, like this video, and shoot me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about weeding vinyl. Is it something that you struggle with, stressful and frustrating, or is it something you enjoy and find very therapeutic? Because some people absolutely love weeding those really intricate designs. We're going to first talk about the materials and then we'll get into the more technology side of it, if that makes sense. So to start off with, it's really important to have good quality vinyl. I know it's tempting to go and buy things like the Dollar Tree vinyl or a really cheap vinyl, and though it's great and it works great for some craft projects, I definitely use it for bigger decals. If you're doing a more intricate decal with small font, it's not the best. Honestly, I just feel like quality is really where you want to go. So I will list a couple right here that are really great brands that you might want to check out. And I know it is personal preference, so maybe you absolutely love using Dollar Tree vinyl, then skip on over to the next tip. But I did want to mention that using quality vinyl is going to make a difference when it comes to weeding, cutting it out, and actually having your decal last longer. The second thing when it comes to materials is tools. You don't necessarily have to have the name brand of tools. There are other dupes that you can get as well, but I think the most important thing is making sure they're actually sharp. My little weeding tool dulled over time. It's been about 5 years since I've had it, so it's bound to happen. At the beginning, I would accidentally poke myself all the time and it would be very sharp, and now it's a little bit curved and bent. So I think I'm going to invest some money and purchase another set of Cricut tools. That way I can make weeding a whole lot easier for myself. There are other little hacks that you can use, so things like a dental pick. A lot of dollar stores sell that. You could use a little safety pin or really fine tip tweezers. I honestly just prefer to use the weeding tool, and there are ones that aren't as great. So I once bought this set of vinyl from Amazon and it came for free with this little weeding tool that just came in the package, and the weeding tool is horrible. It does not work. It pretty much just looks like the Cricut weeding tool, but it's like a knockoff brand of it, and it is horrible. So really, I think tools is a big one, making sure you have the right tools to be able to weed your vinyl properly and then be able to transfer it to your decal. There is nothing more frustrating to me than when I'm sitting there waiting for my Cricut to finish this intricate decal and then I go to weed it and destroy it. Then you have to do it all over again and wait. So when you're in the crafting mood, you want it to just work right the first or second time. So that's the goal with today's video. The third kind of material or tool item that might be the issue is your blade. A couple ways to fix this. One is actually going in and just sharpening your blade. You can take some aluminum foil, scrunch it up, and then just put the blade along it a little bit. Obviously it's a blade, so please be careful when you're doing this, but this actually really helps sharpen it. Now, if that is still not helping, I would suggest it might be time to switch out your blade. They're not that expensive. They're under $15 on Amazon, so you can definitely pick one of those up. I would change out the blade. It's really simple. You just need to open up the little port and pop the new one back in. So try those things out and see if that's the issue. Now, there are other things that it might be, and these are more quick fixes that we'll talk about and free. So let's get into those. One of them might be your actual cutting pressure. There are two sides of this, so you need to find an equal balance. One end of it is you might be actually cutting too much pressure, too deep, and then part of the backing is actually coming up with the vinyl, so when you're going to weed it, it's just not going to weed properly. So you might need to do less pressure. The other side of that is if you don't do enough pressure and you do too little pressure, it's actually not going to cut it out all the way through, not going to cut it properly, and then when you go to weed it, your whole backing and all the vinyl is going to come up. It's just not going to weed out properly. So that might be the issue, and I know that's kind of confusing because it's both ends of the spectrum here, but the way that you can kind of figure it out is doing one, you could do a little test strip of vinyl, so just like a little corner of the vinyl, try it out and see what you think about that. Otherwise, if you don't want to waste too much vinyl, I would go ahead and try it on one setting a little bit less. So if you use the dial on your Cricut machine for the settings, some Cricut machines don't have that option. You might have to do it on Cricut Design Space. but whichever version you have, if you want to use the little dial, I would turn it one notch behind or one notch forward, whichever one you're wanting to do more or less of, and then see if that works on your little test strip. Now, if you're using manually on Cricut Design Space, I would go in and either select more pressure or less pressure on your little test strip and see if that works. Otherwise, sometimes you do have to just go into Cricut Design Space, so you might have to find a different setting that does work for that, and that's where you want to go in and browse all materials and just look at all of the options they may have. There are a couple methods to weeding. So one of them is you just take the vinyl and you start removing the part that you do not want. I feel like that's probably the most typical way that people would weed vinyl. Another method is the reverse weeding method. I have shown this in a lot of my videos, but it's really great when you're using little thin and fine fonts, when you have small decals, things with really intricate designs that you need to weed. What you do is you're going to take your transfer sheet, put it over top, put your little scraper tool across it and get it on there, and you're going to pull up the whole entire sheet of vinyl on there, the decal, the background, everything. Then when it's on this sticky transfer sheet, you're going to go with your weeding tool and start pulling out the parts you don't want. This helps a lot because the parts that you do want, the little letters or the parts of the design that are really small, are actually going to stick to that transfer sheet and make it a whole lot easier to weed. So that's a great option, an alternative if you are doing things like small and fine fonts or really intricate designs. Now, when I'm doing the more traditional weeding method where I'm just taking out the parts that I do not want, I like to take my scissors and just cut off the excess vinyl as I go and remove it. Sometimes it curls up and sticks to the other side because the vinyl is sticky, and then your decal is kind of getting all stuck together. So just take the scissors that comes with your little tool set and just cut out the parts that you already have pulled off, the excess vinyl that you don't need, and then keep working on it. You don't have to pull it all in one go. It's not like a band-aid, so do it as slow kind of as you need to make sure that it's not pulling up, and then cut it out as you lift it up. Makes a whole lot of difference for me and really saves a lot of time. The last one I want to suggest to you is lighting. So if I'm doing it at night in a dark room because my kids are normally sleeping, so that's when I craft, it's really hard to see the vinyl. So sometimes it's good to do it when you're near a window, or if that's not an option, because who really wants to be up against the windowsill, you can actually get things like a bright pad. So Cricut has this bright pad you can get. There are dupes to it on Amazon. If you look up on Amazon, light pad board and light box or light pad box, those are options. They're like $25 on Amazon. So great little dupe if you don't want to go splurge on a bright pad if you're not sure if it's gonna work. What it does is it shines the light through all the little cut lines, so you're able to see it a whole lot easier when you go to weed. I don't know about you, but when I weed, a lot of time it's not the best lighting, and I start pulling up parts that I don't want to pull up. Sometimes I put little holes in them and break them in half. So that is a great little tip if you are really struggling with weeding, maybe the lighting isn't the best, and you wanted something that might help. I would suggest maybe hopping on Amazon or going to your local craft store, maybe Walmart, and just finding some type of bright pad that you can put underneath to light up those cut lines for you. That's what I have for you today for these Cricut weeding tips and tricks. Hopefully this makes your life a whole lot easier when it comes to weeding, and it can be something that you actually enjoy doing. I feel like sometimes it can be really therapeutic and fun. I just put on a good movie, and sometimes it can be really frustrating when it's not working. If you try out any of these tips or tricks, please let me know in the comments down below if it worked for you, if that was the cause of the issue, and what didn't work for you. That way other crafters can look down below and see other tips and tricks that you might have or ways that can help them. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos here and here. I have a lot of Cricut content and crafting on my channel, so like I said, please make sure you are subscribed. My Instagram is right down here, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, crafters.